under the lights in Qatar. It is time to unleash Formula One. The Qatar Grand Prix is go! Oscar Piastri with the dream launch off the line. Hamilton goes around the outside, he's in his teammate! What the hell?
I'm taken out by my own teammate.
Plenty of overtaking going on out there. And what a superb pass! Oh, Perez off the road, he's in the gravel. Oscar Piastri with a dream weekend.
Very nicely done, everyone.
Max Verstappen wins the Qatar Grand Prix.
Unbelievable, guys.
Welcome to Qatar and the Lusail International Circuit. This is our penultimate race weekend of the year, round 23 of 24, and it's a sprint weekend to boot on a hugely physical, high-speed track with the Constructors title well and truly in the balance. Welcome to weekend warm-up. And welcome down to the paddock where the Lusail International Circuit have welcomed us with a barbecue. Plenty of people tucking in. I think you two are probably both quite hungry by this point, and those food shots aren't really helping your hunger levels. We are, of course, on an offset schedule here. We are approaching 8:30 at night here in Qatar and wherever you are around the world. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Alex Jacques. Welcome to James Hinchcliffe. Here we go then. Penultimate round of the season, round 23 of 24. James, all to play for.
It is. I mean, it's crazy to think there's only 2 Grand Prix left. We have a sprint weekend and a Grand Prix left. A little bit of everything still to come. Championship obviously locked up. Constructors still up for grabs, but great to be here in Qatar. My first time here, and excited to see what we got in store for us.
Constructors title well and truly in the balance, isn't it, Alex? I can't wait to see how this plays out between McLaren, Ferrari, and yes, Red Bull. They're still in the mix. 59 points between the three.
Yeah, and things have been scrambled in recent times. You've got McLaren slightly on the back foot, but the tyres are super stressed here. It was an exhausting Grand Prix 1 year ago. This is a little bit of a curveball to chuck in at this stage of the season.
And worth noting as well that, last year, as you mentioned, hugely physical, challenging race. It was unbelievably hot. I think perhaps some of the hottest conditions that we've experienced, certainly working the F1 calendar. It is much, much cooler this time round. Ambient temperature right now, 20 degrees, and track temp not much more than that either. So we are going to see different conditions out here for this weekend. Speaking of slightly cooler conditions, should we talk about Las Vegas? Here is what happened in Sin City.
From Las Vegas, this is Formula One. If Max beats Lando tonight, he's champion of the world. Racing to turn number 1, and they open the door for Charles Leclerc, and around the outside to take P2. Magnussen and Lawson, these two refuse to give it up. Amazing brawling. Look at this scene between Mercedes and Ferrari. George Russell stays ahead.
Hamilton is flying.
Overtaking everywhere you look.
Let's see how you do under pressure.
Oh, trying to go past 2 of them, and doing so. That was brave stuff from Sergio Perez. This is now the battle for P2.
Max, just don't lose sight of our aim today, no?
No contest between the two greats. George Russell will look up and see the checkered flag first. Max Verstappen is a 4-time world champion.
Oh my God, for the season, we gave it all.
The day that Verstappen soars to 4 is Las Vegas under the lights.
The biggest congratulations to Max Verstappen. 4 world titles now to his name, and I think many agreeing that this has probably been his most impressive of the 4 as well. We'll come on to that soon, but Mercedes, a 1-2, Alex. And at a time when you felt they needed a result as well. How impressed were you with what we saw there?
I was impressed as they were surprised. They haven't topped every single session of a weekend like that since 2020. So it's been a really long time if you consider that they were used to doing that and turning up to weekends with the expectation of always being in the fight for P1. But you're absolutely right, Laura. They needed that. Lewis Hamilton was downright despondent after Sao Paulo. To turn up in Vegas and see him back on the front foot, fantastic. And George Russell did the job, converted a pole position. And there's been a few that have got away from him this year, so that was vital for George going into 2025 for him to convert.
Yeah, for me it was a faultless weekend from George, and for Lewis the fight back was spectacular. That also marked the first time in history that 4 teams have scored a 1-2 in a season as well. We now have our most multiple race winners as well. It's been an unbelievably unpredictable race season, hasn't it? I've loved it. Mercedes, in terms of unpredictability though, that has been very much the sticking point for them. How are they going to go here? It's hotter, yes, not as hot as we saw last year, but it is a smooth track surface as it was in Vegas, or is it?
It is, yeah. It is a smooth track surface, and the temperatures are definitely going to play part of it. I think that's one of the advantages they had in Vegas. Temps were cold. That car tends to use the tires in a different way, put a little more energy in them, so in a hotter condition, it's going to overheat the tires. We know how temperature sensitive these Pirellis can be, but they were decently quick here last year.
They were.
It is smooth, so you can run the car stiff, which is what they kind of need to do to find the ultimate performance in that Mercedes. They don't have to deal with any bumps, which kind of sets it off in that porpoising phenomenon that we've seen time and time again with them. So on paper, it could be good. But it's just so tough to know with them because this has been the story of their season, weekend to weekend, sometimes day to day, sometimes session to session. I feel like I've said that line 10 times already about Mercedes, but you just never know. It's the consistency that's been the issue. So we'll see.
And Mercedes have been good relatively at high speed though as well, and we've got some real high speed stuff out there. I think there's only one corner on the circuit that's taken below 100k an hour, so we'll see. The team are certainly confident about that one. Hamilton's saying as well he'd have breezed it if he'd started from the front row, so he perhaps has a bit of a point to prove coming into Qatar, where of course he won the 2021 race. That was the season though which Max Verstappen took his first world title. Now he has 4. Let's see how he did it this time round.
Everyone has to stick together and work towards more success. It's a whole team effort. I'm confident that we have a good car. Other teams are closer. I just have to go faster.
The new season is underway. Verstappen crosses the line to take victory. He's destroying the field.
Absolutely fantastic.
Powering through and takes the checkered flag.
What a race, guys. The car is on fire.
He's gonna do it again.
Yes.
It's domination like Formula One has rarely seen. Eat, sleep, win, repeat. Oh, big moments.
I can't brake. I can't attack anything.
There's nothing he can do. That is a rocket ship move. What a fine way to take the lead.
Other teams have done their homework.
George Russell wins there. The Musketeers. Lando Norris wins with a crushing performance. And you believe what we're seeing.
Pressure on Verstappen right now.
He barges his rival off the road.
You have to be patient. I think I've learned that over the years.
17th in the order.
It is now wide open.
World Championship is in the balance. He has it all to do. The man on the charge. He's going past all of them to the lead in Brazil.
Oh, yes.
The world champion strikes back. The Dutch driver will retain his crown. Max Verstappen is a 4-time Formula One world champion.
What a season we've had. What a driver Max Verstappen is. Lawrence Barretto had the real honour of sitting down with him just after that race in Las Vegas, where he clinched that 4th world title. To hear the thoughts of the 4-time world champion, we can hear a snippet now before the pre-race show. Let's hear from Max.
Max Verstappen is a 4-time Formula One world champion.
Yeah, it's not bad from the guy from Holland. So I hope it inspires a lot of kids as well. It shows them that it doesn't matter where you come from, you can achieve great things. This one I definitely value very high because of everything that has happened throughout the year. Of course, you know, the ultimate goal, can you win 8 titles? I always had this thing that I said, yeah, we'll see, whatever. And my dad couldn't, he was like, what do you mean, you know, we'll see, or whatever. Like, that's not an approach. Now he's like, yeah, I think it's all right. I'm very thankful of how we grew up and how I got to the top.
Well, you heard his emotion on the radio. GP was equally emotional on the pit wall. He said he had to actually stop speaking over the radio. He was so choked up, and you can see Max in fine spirits there as well. You can see the full feature-length interview with Lawrence Barretto in our pre-race show, as well as insights from departing Kevin Magnussen and Carlos Sainz leaving Ferrari for Williams. I sat down with him a bit earlier on. It was a great interview from Carlos, and I really enjoyed speaking to him. Right, guys, the driver's title is well and truly wrapped up. The constructor's title, though, is still up for grabs. It hangs in the balance. 24 points, James, between McLaren and Ferrari. How does this swing here at the Losail International Circuit?
Well, look, I mean, everything is up for grabs, and it is so exciting, this championship. I think at different points of the season, you've had the momentum with so many different teams, obviously starting with Red Bull, then it kind of started going to McLaren. Mercedes had that pre-summer break swing, and then it was McLaren, then Ferrari once we got to the Americas. It's kind of been going all around in circles. Obviously, Ferrari took 12 points out of McLaren last time out, 24 points between them. But on paper, this is definitely a McLaren track. They ran well here last year, both in the sprint and in the GP. And with essentially the two races, that's twice as many opportunities to score some points and open that gap back up. Abu Dhabi's a different story, maybe a little bit more even, but I think here it's going to be McLaren's weekend.
And I think, Hinch, they would be so relieved that Mercedes took a 1-2, because if you're going to have a bad day, as Max Verstappen has proved across the championship, make sure that your rivals don't have a perfect day. And so they had a little bit of damage limitation there, thanks to Mercedes having lost points to Mercedes earlier in the year. But how good is it? McLaren versus Ferrari this deep into the year. I mean, what year is it? It's so good. I grew up with these championship battles, so it's great to see these two titans of the sport fighting it out again.
Well, on that, of course, the last time McLaren won was 1998. The last time Ferrari won, 2008. For McLaren, though, should they have wrapped this up a little bit earlier, guys?
I mean, could, yes.
Yeah.
Should? That's a tough one. You know, this again, they've not been in this position since 1998. Yeah. It's been a minute. You can give them a little bit of leeway, or can you, for maybe not maximizing absolutely every opportunity. They haven't been fighting for championships for a very long time. So it's understandable that maybe there were some points left on the table. Again, this was only really possible, though, because only one of the Red Bulls has really been performing at that level. Realistically, if you look at the championship, the constructors table, the percentage that one driver on that team has done for Red Bull to keep them even in the conversation with 2 rounds to go is insane. But yes, could they have? Yes. Should they have? I don't know. I'm not sure that that's fair.
From within a team, as a driver in a team environment, how quickly, how easily is it to transform your thinking from we could be in with a shot for some race wins this season to we could win the Constructors Championship? How difficult a switch is that?
It's a very difficult one, and especially how it happened with McLaren, because when you started the season, I mean, I remember leaving the first race, everyone's like, well, just give Red Bull all the trophies now. They're going to win 24 out of 24. And so when you look at the fact that we got to Miami just after, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, maybe if we keep going with this performance, we could be there at the end. So it's a mid-season shift to a team that hasn't been in that mindset for decades. That's a very tough thing to do.
Let's hear then from all 4 drivers.
It will mean a lot to me, because for me, everything I do in a way is for them. Is for everyone that works back in the factory and here at the track side. You know, the team are like they're my biggest motivation. It's not self-happiness of winning, it's seeing the happiness of them. That's the thing that makes me happy, you know. So it'll mean a lot to them, and when something means a lot to them, then it means a lot to me.
I mean, last 2 races of the season, and we need to do absolutely everything in order to get that Constructors Championship. That's all that matters. And whatever happened in Vegas, we discussed about it, and we are all good, which is the most important thing. I had no doubts about that, because we've always had a really good relationship with Carlos, and we've had races where sometimes things don't go exactly the way we want. But the most important thing is that we discuss about it and we go forward. And it's very clear for both of us that we just want to win the Constructors, and it's by working as a team that we'll achieve that, and I'm sure that there won't be any problems with it.
It means a lot. So yes, of course, there's pressure. I think it's healthy pressure, but yeah, I'm confident that we can pull it off. So it would be a just reward for what's been. When you look over the course of the last 2 seasons, it's an incredible turnaround, and it would be capping off a good story and hopefully the start of long McLaren success.
It would be the perfect end to my time in Ferrari, trying to sign off with a win and with a constructors title in that manner. I just look forward, to that moment, and obviously I have it in front of me, and I just try to get it, because it would be a perfect way to end my career in Ferrari, or my last in Ferrari. So we're going to push all together, flat out, to make it happen, knowing that McLaren are favorites and they are 24 points ahead. Thanks, Cal.
Great to hear them from all four protagonists heading in to the penultimate round of the F1 season. Losail International Circuit shining bright under the night lights. Can't wait to see cars taking to that track in anger through the course of this sprint weekend as Ferrari and McLaren do battle on track. Ferrari have not won a constructors title since 2008, and looking at this season, Ferrari versus McLaren, Alex, they have the same number of wins as McLaren, 5 apiece. Yeah. It is neck and neck. There's 24 points between them. McLaren can do it this weekend, but they have to have a faultless, flawless weekend. For Ferrari, they're still in this fight, aren't they?
Yeah, and they have less to lose. And I think if McLaren were to fall short here, it wouldn't just sting, it would hurt for the entire winter. That gives all the impetus to Ferrari to try and steal one, to try and steal a championship. So they're on the front foot. They know that, all right, this might not, last year, this was not their favourite circuit by a long way. They faded fast, but they've got on top of the tyres, so they'll just be hoping to upset the form book. Like we've seen for the last couple of races, they've got absolutely every chance of taking this to a circuit they've never won at in Abu Dhabi.
Now, for them, I honestly think it's a little bit about damage limitation, right? We've talked about how this is kind of on paper a McLaren track. Last week in Vegas, it was on paper a Ferrari track, and that's really the mode that McLaren was in. You said how Mercedes did them a solid by being so quick. So damage limitation to McLaren, that's really got to be the attitude, I think, for Ferrari here. They know on paper it's not going to be as strong for them. You saw it last year, just based on the characteristics of this race car, but they have to keep themselves within range going into Abu Dhabi, because anything can happen there. And look, we've seen shock results. Now, you look at the shock result we saw in Brazil, it was a team from the back coming to the front, but you can have incidents. We saw teammates taking each other out in turn one here last year. We've had issues with, other things, curbs, whatever. This can be a tough track on drivers, on cars. If McLaren has an issue, a reliability issue, contact issue, this thing can blow wide open, and at a track where they're favored and really can seal the deal would be bad.
And it throws it forward to next year. We obviously had the domination from Red Bull at the start of the year, but from May onwards, it has been a big scrap every week. We thought it was going to be a Ferrari track last time out, turned out to be a Mercedes one. How well does this set us up for next season as well as this? Although I think we might need a break in between. Certainly the gallery need a break in between.
As the teams are all converging, right, under these set of regulations, we've just seen it become more and more and more competitive this year. And we say it each and every week, but we come in not having a clue who's going to win and who's going to go well and who might not go well. And we've had so many shocks and so many surprises. I've loved 2025, James.
It's been great
2024. And I'm looking forward to 2025.
Let's not get ahead of yourself. We'll get to 2025. But no, it's been incredible. You said it at the top, 4 teams with 1-2 finishes now, 4 teams that have won at least 4 races. Yeah. Granted, we have more races for that to happen, but still, that level of not knowing. We went through a stretch there where it was like 12 races where the pole sitter only won twice. That's so un-Formula One for what a lot of people are used to. So it's been incredible. The drivers, the teams, everything.
You know what's really Formula One? To not only talk about 2025, but 2026.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Because we've had some 2026 news with the 11th team being announced this week as well.
Yeah, we have. General Motors have agreed in principle to enter the sport into 2026. Cadillac F1, it's all in motion. It is a process. It's not done and dusted just yet. But already, the rumour mill begins. Drivers up and down this paddock who may be out of a seat, I'm sure, have got a couple of numbers on speed dial trying to get in there for a seat. Where are you looking in terms of those drivers who may be included, should, of course, everything go to motion and continue as it looks it's going to?
Right, so hypothetically speaking, that all happens on the grid in 26. The obvious one is Colton Herta. Right, the ties to Andretti's IndyCar program. They talked about him coming over. They really want an American. He was pursued by AlphaTauri at one point. He's done testing for McLaren, the TPC program. That's sort of the obvious one, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I would love to see it happen. I know the kid, he's great, phenomenal talent. Would love to see him over here. The other one, if you're bringing in someone that's an F1 rookie, you want a seasoned veteran. You want somebody with experience, preferably experience from as big a team as possible to try to help the team know which areas. So Valtteri could be an option. I mean, he's probably going to be a reserve driver for a year at Mercedes, then decide what he wants to do or what options are. I would love to see someone like him come back into the sport and really bring that experience, that talent level to the team, try to help it grow.
Any other names to throw
think?
into the mix? Just also on Valtteri, Mick Schumacher announced today that he is leaving his reserve driver role at Mercedes, which ties in nicely with Valtteri Bottas departing Sauber at the end of the season and the rumours tying him to his former team, Alex Jacques.
They're going to need an experienced driver, right? So anyone who maybe, I was saying to Kevin Magnussen today, maybe you can throw your hat into the ring. And he said, well, I've kind of thought in Abu Dhabi a couple of times I'm coming to the end of my career, and then I've ended back up on the grid. So there's a possibility. They'll need an experienced driver to put in place the processes. The fact that he's seen Mercedes, the fact that he's seen how Mercedes were a winning machine, I think he starts as a great candidate for it. And I'm fascinated to see whether we finally get to see Colton Herta in Formula One, because that's been talked about for a long time. I'm not sure how serious the first attempt is, but this is absolutely a legitimate route for him. And be another exciting name to get excited about.
Fascinating stuff. We'll obviously keep you updated with all that goes on as we see an 11th team potentially racing in Formula One in 2026. Back to the here and now, and after what has been one of the silliest of seasons in terms of the driver market, started off with that bombshell signing of Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. There's just one seat left on the grid. That is at VCARB within that Red Bull family, although plenty of rumours swirling that it may well be two. Let's hear from Sergio Perez now on why he is facing so many challenges this season.
It's very difficult for people to understand that they're not part of the team or are not on a daily basis. Why from one race to another, let's say you are so far away. I think when you are not able to extract 100% out of your car, it's irrelevant how good your car is, and it is what it has happened. I haven't been able to extract 100% out of my car because of the difficulties I've had in the last few months with it, and I think that's the main issue. I think you go through periods, and I think as a team we are understanding and we're working really hard to make sure that we can fix them.
Checo, just to follow up on that, you say you know exactly where you are. Can you say with 100% confidence that you'll be driving for Red Bull Racing in 2025?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Sergio Perez, as he has had to for so many weekends this season, answering pretty tough questions from the media. Is he going to be in that Red Bull seat next season? He's saying, yes, I am exactly going to be there. But Red Bull have dropped out of contention because they have Max Verstappen on one hand performing and Sergio Perez has been struggling, James. How difficult is that for a team when you've got two sides of the garage with absolute polar opposites in terms of how they are performing, and you can see your position in the constructor standings slipping away?
That's massively detrimental. It's tough for the culture in the team, the environment, the mood, everything. I mean, it's when you have one driver performing and one driver not, for whatever reason. Again, this is not a shot at Sergio's driving ability. He's a multiple Grand Prix winner. He got that job in the first place because of how well he performed at other teams. This car is just not suiting him for whatever reason. They've tried for years now to get it to work. 3 weekends a year it gets there, but no, from the team standpoint, it's a huge challenge, and it's going to leave them a lot of questions, going into the off season.
And that double overtake last time out in Vegas, Alex, which you called superbly, through one of the narrowest parts of the track. Look, that will really shows that he absolutely can still drive a car. He can still get his elbows out. He can still race wheel to wheel. He could still improve in these final two races, couldn't he, if Red Bull can deliver a package here?
There's a 6-time Grand Prix winner in that car who's been on the podium time and time again, but in this year, in this machine, it's not worked for him. 19 races now, sprint and Grand Prix added together, that he's failed to make the top 5. That cannot be the case if you're a Red Bull driver, because it will leave them third again. And they know what Red Bull and McLaren can do, and Mercedes aren't going to rest on their laurels. So it's uncomfortable. I think if they are going to let Checo go, I'd like them to avoid what they did with Daniel Ricciardo and tell us that he won't be with the team. Because if you're a 6-time Grand Prix winner and it might be the end of your Formula One career, you deserve a send-off. You don't deserve a press release in the middle of the off-season.
But the problem is, on paper, he has a contract for 2 more years. They've said there's going to be a meeting with all the stakeholders at Red Bull Racing after the season to kind of make this decision. So it's just, I agree with you, but we know it's not going to happen.
Bring it forward in the calendar for a week.
All right, so Wednesday. They need the meeting has to be on Wednesday so we can know by Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, you're right. It would be nice for us to say goodbye to him in Abu Dhabi if that is the case, that he's going to be leaving.
Could be another driver on the Cadillac list.
Exactly. Huge experience, made his name taking midfield cars to podiums. That's how he got the drive in the first place.
But look, importantly, he has a contract which sees him stay at Red Bull through 2025, and he is sure he will be in that seat next year as well. Yuki Tsunoda, though, is doing everything possible he can to impress his Red Bull bosses. Let's hear from him.
Just personally, a strong weekend from start to finish for you. What more do you think you can do to show Red Bull that you're ready for a promotion should they make a change going forward?
Since first race in this year, I think I'm shown the result or the how complete I am, throughout the year to Red Bull, and I'm pretty happy what I'm doing so far, and I'm sure they noticed that. But at the same time, it's the thing that I can't control, and I'll do maximum as I can, and keep what I'm doing until the end of the race and see how it goes.
Q3 and points in Vegas. Yuki Tsunoda will have to keep doing what he is doing, and of course he does have that test with Red Bull at the end of the season as well. Okay, moving on then to the battle for 6th. 4 points separate 3 teams, and that's millions and millions of pounds, isn't it, James? How tight is this going to get? How many fights are we going to see out on track? It's going to go down to the last lap, isn't it, of Abu Dhabi?
The last lap of Abu Dhabi, and it could be a situation where a driver's pulling in on the last lap to get a set of softs, to do the fastest lap, to get that extra point.
Yes, come on.
I'm so excited about this battle.
I know.
All 3 teams have done a great job. I know Alpine's had a rough year, but man, credit to them for the incredible result in Brazil. Haas has been scoring regularly. They've been really on it. Yuki's been doing an incredible job in the V-Carb. This is a more intense battle in a lot of ways than the battle for the Constructors Championship, because again, this means so much to these teams. That money is a big deal to these teams, and all 3 of them right now are performing very well.
And Alex as well, Aston Martin, a lonely 5th at the moment. Mercedes a lonely 4th above them. But the gap is big, but it's not too big.
Yeah.
It is still possible. We saw that shock Alpine result, a double podium, a huge haul of points. It just takes that kind of swing. And could they be in trouble?
Only with a massive first corner accident and you get 8 cars finishing type of race. I think they're going to be okay, but they are desperate to turn the page and get into 2025 and to Adrian Newey, come in, come in the building, because they've lost their way with updating the car. Tough for them, and they're looking forward to next year.
The last time they scored points was Singapore. They really will be hoping for a top 10 finish here, and a big points haul from both the sprint race, of course, and the Grand Prix as well. Williams, oh my gosh, when it rains, it pours for that team, and the cost of damages and crashes that we've seen so far, and having to go to the medical centre for Franco Colapinto, your heart aches for the team and for the drivers when they're in good positions. It just falls apart, James. How's the atmosphere down there? How difficult is this?
It's tough. We've talked a lot about the financial cost of the last few weekends for them, but there's a human cost to it as well. The nights that crew's had to pull, especially in Vegas, which is already a really difficult sort of schedule to walk around and work around. So that team comes here just needing a good day, a good clean weekend. A point or 2 would be phenomenal from either or both drivers, but it's a tough slog right now with the end of the season. There's so many things that just stack on, make it so hard for these guys.
Yeah, they'll be relieved to get to a circuit where the barriers are miles away.
A few gravel traps have been added out there, though.
That's true.
You can still beat your car. I guess that's not too much damage, though, is it? Alex, Sauber, they'll be desperate for a point from this season. They will not want to finish it pointless. P10, they currently sit, and they're probably due to stay there unless they can have that kind of shot result we saw Alpine have. For Bottas and Zhou, though, yes, they've got a job to do for Sauber, but they're also looking ahead to future roles, as we've mentioned, with Valtteri Bottas, and looking to Mercedes, to potentially General Motors, to Cadillac. For Zhou, what are you thinking?
I think it's going to be a reserve driver role for him. A lot of talk about that being at Ferrari, so we're expecting that. Sauber, though, thanks to our very own Ruth Buscombe-Davy, 1 year ago, both cars in the points. They've not scored since, but there you go. It's that sort of circuit.
They can get the job done around here, but that car just isn't competitive, is it? And it hasn't been all season. It's not even been at a place where we felt there could be a sniff of points.
Yeah, it's not like there's a lot of 11th place finishes, on their record either. They've been significantly down. The pace isn't there. I don't often hear them complaining about the balance necessarily. I think it's just downforce. It's just grip. It's just pure performance. That's tough to overcome. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. This can be a track that throws curveballs though. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Hoping that Sauber do pick up a point or two coming into these final 2 races of the season. Let's take a look then at how things are shaping up for this sprint weekend and our penultimate of the year. So don't forget, we have a night race here under the lights and a sprint weekend as well. 4:15 for your one and only practice session ahead of an 8:15 sprint qualifying session. 16:20 for that sprint race. 8:30 then for the qualifying for the Grand Prix and the Qatar Grand Prix at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Okay. The battle then for the Constructors' World title is very much on McLaren versus Ferrari. Red Bull still mathematically in with a shot as well. Your final thoughts and your predictions ahead of this weekend, please, Alex.
Really looking forward to it. I think the form book has been shredded. I'm going to go for Lando Norris to win the Grand Prix, then Max Verstappen to be second, and Lewis Hamilton to be third.
It's Ferrari.
They were horrible here last year. That's what I'm basing it on.
It was much, much hotter
It
than it's due
was,
to be.
but yeah, that's my prediction.
Temperatures much above 24. Sorry, it's your prediction, it's your opinion, you're allowed that one. You can have it.
No,
you're basically
wrong.
saying, no, it's wrong, it's way off.
No, I love a bold prediction. James, go ahead.
Look, I think it's McLaren's track on paper. I think both drivers are doing well. It's a McLaren 1-2. Can Piastri do it again? He was sort of the slightly better guy last year here. Papaya rules have now gone out the window with the championship gone, so maybe Piastri, Norris 1-2. Third, I don't hate the Mercedes thing, but probably Max. And I'll say, it's not going to be popular. You're not going to like this. McLaren leave the Constructors Championship winners this weekend.
This weekend, because to do that, they need a 1-2 in the sprint race and a 1-2 in the Grand Prix and fastest lap, I believe, is the maths.
If Ferrari are third and fourth.
Okay.
Which I don't think they're going to be. It's not even so much that I think McLaren are going to be that dominant.
He just wants a party in Abu Dhabi. That's what's going on here.
I don't think the Ferraris are going to be that quick. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, I am going to agree with you on a McLaren 1-2, but I'm going to say we're going to see a Ferrari in third, and I think it will be Carlos Sainz trying to prove a point in his final 2 races.
And we're all going to be completely wrong.
Yeah,
so it doesn't
and
really
I can't
matter.
wait to
And
be
it was a
proven.
great interview from Carlos Sainz earlier, wasn't it?
It was a great interview from Carlos Sainz. I actually thoroughly enjoyed sitting down with him and talking, and it'll be an emotional 2 races for him.
It will.
Thank you both very much for all of your insights into this one. Thanks to all of you as well for watching. That was your weekend warm-up. Consider your weekend suitably warmed, not quite as hot as last year though, and get ready for a sprint weekend here under the lights. We'll see you tomorrow.
Welcome to the Losail International Circuit.
The Qatar Grand Prix is go! Max Verstappen leads. Hamilton got the launch off the line. Round the outside, he's in his teammate.
Racing under the lights.
Russell around the outside. Oh, Perez off the road. He's in the gravel. And Max Verstappen, he is champion of the world.